Crowhill here. Today we review a red ale and discuss speed dating. Hello and welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening, Crowhill.
Yeah, what's on your mind today?
Have you seen the show Dating on a Spectrum?
No.
So it's a reality show where the spectrum is autistic people.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So it's a dating show.
Yeah.
The term spectrum, which is a terrible term for gender,
Yeah.
really does apply.
Yes.
I mean, the range of some people are barely functional, and some
Are just a little odd.
just a little kooky.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
Right.
you know how they have professional jobs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. They're just a little.
Yeah,
Something's a little quite.
The whole
a little
autism
off.
spectrum, it makes,
I mean,
spectrum
really
does make sense on the
Does
autism.
apply
Yeah,
here. I
it
don't
really
know if
does.
we've ever had another show where we poo-pooed the idea of spectrum in terms of.
Well, for some things, it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, for
Yeah.
some things, okay.
But for
get-
autism, it really does make sense. There are some people who are just a little bit autistic.
So then they had some pretty kind of extreme. At any rate, there was a speed dating scene, and so I don't really want to talk about autism. I want to talk about the speed dating part.
Okay, all right.
And I was just like, well, if it's 5 minutes, and let's assume that both of you get to speak half the time, you can only ask that person 2.5 minutes worth of information.
Right.
And what would you do in those 2.5 minutes? That's just not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time.
So
It's very
I
challenging.
don't know if you thought about it, but let's think about this.
Yeah,
Red
it's
ale.
very challenging. Okay, so this is from right local here, very
Yeah,
local.
yeah.
This is down in Riverdale Park, and we've been down there a couple times
Yeah.
to the bar down there. And this is Denizen's Brewing Company Big Red Norm Red Ale. Which why do they have red twice in the title? I don't quite get that. But what do we got?
Well,
It's
we have
fairly red color.
We have a raccoon with a rose and a hard hat on the can.
Okay.
And we have the color that it's not really red, but it's the color that you would expect from a red ale
Yes.
that we have discussed before. Probably comes from small amounts of very dark crystal,
Yes.
and so it's got the right color and.
It's
do you
it's
think?
very interesting because usually with a red ale, I expect somewhat subdued hops and a little bit of maltiness.
Yeah.
But this one has got the maltiness, but it's got some fairly assertive hop flavor going on
You're
there
saying,
too.
does it give you any
I'm
tips
getting the
about?
pine. I'm getting pine. But
Yeah, certainly not on the citrusy end. Right, it's definitely going to be a piney hop.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like it a lot.
I do.
What are we
It's
doing
actually
here?
pretty
Six
good.
and a half.
6.5, which is a little high.
Yeah,
I would
it
think,
is
for a
high.
red
I
ale.
like it.
But,
That's my wheelhouse right there.
all right, Denizens, well done,
a little,
boys.
A little hoppy, a little malty, and
Yeah.
6.5.
Exactly.
That's where I am right there.
Send us your next beer. We'll review it next time.
So here you go. You're going, geez, a friend drags you into speed dating, and
Right.
you sit down, you got the clock, and they're all rode up and everything. And I don't know if you're bringing cue cards with you or anything, or if you're just going
Right.
to wing it. But
Let me
at
ask you
any
this
rate,
question.
Yes,
How are you dressing for speed dating?
I think I'm my everyday guy. Yeah, not not what I would wear to work.
Yeah?
Polo shirt, jeans, just regular guy clothes.
Okay.
What are you doing?
No, see, I think it's always a good idea to dress at about so that you're better dressed than 3/4 of the people there.
Yeah, I like it.
That's sort of my standard.
Well,
You should be better dressed than most of the people, but you don't want to be the dandy.
Well, all right.
So-
All right, let me write that down.
Yeah.
3/4.
Now,
got
so
it.
okay? So you show up to speed dating. What is your objective? What kind of a woman are you looking for?
Right. So you want to just knock this out here.
Yeah,
right?
let's knock it out quick.
So, right. So what are our intentions here? Obviously, before
right.
you get into the questions. Well, what?
Exactly. So I divide this kind of a question. Now, of course, I've been married for 150 years, and this is not a thing for me. But if it were, I would basically divide women into 3 categories. You know, the woman I want for this evening, the woman I want for a summer and the woman I want for a lifetime.
Okay.
So the question is, if I'm going to speed dating just to pick up somebody to go out with that night, that's one thing.
Right.
If it's somebody that I want to have a casual relationship with for a short period of time.
All right. So what about your? Well, first off, you probably just go to Tinder if you're looking for
That's all
if you're looking for the quickie. But anyway, so you're going. Let me see if I got an easy
relatively
date here.
low standards on that one. You know, does she have an STD?
Well, how are you going to bring that out in 2.5
I don't know.
minutes?
I don't know how you're going to find that out.
All right.
I guess the most important thing to find out is she nuts?
Right. So So what would you ask her anything in particular? How many cats she has, or what?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
You got 2.5 minutes. You can't just. We're not just hanging out here trying to get a feel for somebody. You
Right.
gotta zoom in and say. First off, does she? Is she presentable? So first off, she's got to be attractive.
Right.
It's going to be right. There's. I think the attractiveness. Well, depends what your standards are.
Yes, it does know what your standards are. So I would be trying to probe for insanity. If I'm not, I'm not going to be in that situation where I'm trying to find somebody for the night at speed dating. So maybe we should just forget about that one.
So let's go. So we're going to go medium to long term.
Yes, exactly. Medium. Somebody that could be a relatively stable girlfriend for a while, or somebody that you might consider marrying.
Right.
Yes.
A girl.
Okay.
You're like, all right. Not necessarily committed. Looking for the woman of my dreams, but. Somebody at least I want to hang out with for a while.
Right.
And I would start with something like I'll give him. How about this one? The last book you read and the last movie you saw in a theater.
Yeah. So
And none of these questions I think are deal breakers. She could say I haven't read a book since high school and I prefer to stay home and watch Netflix. Neither one of those would just give me an idea of who she is, but without being a deal breaker.
So I went onto this website of 70 some questions for speed dating. And I tried to categorize them into different things. And some of them I labeled as deal breakers. So here are some that could potentially be deal breakers. Have you ever been married? Do you have any kids? Do you have any pets? What's your favorite pampering activity? Whatever that means. And do you believe in ghosts and have you seen one?
Yeah, that's not bad. I would leave the pampering activity out. We got 2.5 minutes here. Mm-hmm. You've got some good yes and no's, one word answers here. Boom, boom, boom. Ghost. Have you seen one? That's not bad. Just to check her level of woo-ness.
Yes. Yeah. Because that's important because you don't want somebody who's going to be like examining your aura and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That would get tiresome.
I would say in terms of the book and the movie. Then if she says, well, the last movie in the theater I saw was Napoleon, and I'm rereading Anna Karenina, then I pull out my wedding proposal and just get it over with.
This is a serious woman.
Get it over right here. But now, what about just appearance in general? So right, of course, this is attractiveness. We've got that. Blue hair.
No blue hair.
What about visible tats?
Well, I guess generally speaking, I'm opposed to tattoos.
Yeah.
But visible. That one's a little tough because
if I get to discover it at some later date, that's different than but if you're just coming
neck
in with
or face,
you're coming in with just full forearms.
Yeah, no, forget that.
I'm not taking
no neck, face, forearms, all that kind of stuff. If I happen to notice that she has a little tattoo on her right ankle or something like that, okay, I'm not into that, but still that would not necessarily be.
This is at a bar. Would you like for her to have a drink in front of her when you sit down?
Interesting.
And you're going to measure.
Interesting.
Is anything coming of that? And then, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
All right. I know. She's got a glass of water. Oh, I noticed you're not drinking anything. I mean, you got 2.5 minutes here.
Yeah.
I noticed you're not drinking anything. You're not a drinker. And then, I would say something is going on. If she says, I was a raging alcoholic for 20 years, and
now
on the
I'm
way,
sober?
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but that's but in
she's
a
like,
way.
not now, but I'm going to have about 5 shots when this thing is over. And you're like, okay, well, no,
Okay,
easy there.
those are some
gal.
extremes.
Easy there, gal.
Yes.
Right? But I am going to, in my 2.5 minutes, at least get some reaction to her alcohol intake.
Yes, and
fair?
other drugs too. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to know, like, do you smoke weed or any other drugs going
Get
on
that,
here,
that
right?
in there, and
Now here's a
go ahead.
category. So the big 5 personality traits. One of them that
Agreeableness and-
all that stuff. So one of them that I think is very important is neuroticism. And as I was going through the list,
how would you suss that out? In 2.5
exactly.
minutes?
Okay, so here what is the grossest thing you ever eaten?
All right.
Why are you single? I'm not sure if that one fits in neuroticism.
Yeah.
How long have you been speed dating? How many times do you brush your teeth? When was the last time you changed your sheets?
Right.
If you find a hair strand in your food at a restaurant, how would you react?
Right.
So the
All right,
kind of finding out how hair triggered this person.
All right. So
is.
give me your categories here.
yeah.
Give me your categories, and because I have a question for you. But go
Okay.
ahead.
So one is just boring.
Right.
One is interests.
Okay.
Do you follow politics? What do you do for fun? Personality. That's an important one. Neuroticism, deal breakers, and intelligence.
All right. So forget the deal breakers. Forget the boring. If got 2.5 minutes here, bro.
I know.
So rather than picking and choosing from various categories, what if you only had to choose one of your categories to
Wow.
focus on?
Wow.
Where do you think you would be able to extract enough information to at least check her off as a possible second date
Probably personality.
or as a match?
Probably personality.
And so give me some of your personalities that you think would be helpful in determining whether or not you would check her off. So you get a little scorecard, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
had
yeah.
yeses and nos, and then the people who are running the speed dating thing match you if you both get yeses. So how would this help you get a
Okay,
yes
how
or
would
no?
your best friend describe you?
Okay.
That might be a good personality one. What's your dream job?
Mm-hmm.
What are you most passionate about?
Right.
What do you consider your best attribute?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are a bunch of other ones in here that are their personality, but I don't think they're that big a deal. Like, what's your biggest fear? Are you an animal lover? Are you more of a morning person or a night person? Those are all personality related, but I don't think they really matter all that much.
Right. So you would select out of there what would be like animal lover. I don't really care.
I don't really care.
If I had plenty of time, then that would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't care if it's cats or dogs or.
Now this one I thought was
snakes.
kind of interesting. If a film was made about your wife, who would you choose to play you?
Right. Okay.
I kind of like that for 2 reasons. One, because maybe 3. So it gives you some sense of how self-reflective the person is.
Yeah.
It gives you some sense of whether they have this like ridiculously inflated notion of themselves, which would be a big turnoff, right? And it also, depending on who they pick, gives you some picture into their personality because every actor or actress tends to have a range in which they operate. So it gives you some sense. If somebody says Angelina Jolie, that's very different than if they say, I'm not good at actor and actress. They pick some other character, Meg Ryan. You're going to get a very different perspective on who they are.
All right, I like that. Would I sneak in again? Asking about politics would not be a deal breaker unless they heard the word Trump and their hair caught on fire.
Right.
But otherwise, no, not really. No, but I would want to know if they're like, I'm not really into politics, or are they hardcore into politics? And regularly attend protest rallies.
Yeah.
Right. So then that that might give me. I might spend 30 seconds on that. Well, correct. Actually, let's do it this way. So you only have five questions.
Yeah.
If you're going to give them 30 seconds and then cut them off, cut them off, I've heard enough of that. And then just move on.
Imagine how that comes across. Sorry, I'm done with that. Here's
Yeah,
another
all right,
question.
I've heard enough. We only have 2.5 minutes here. I'm not going to spend the whole thing on your.
I've heard enough of your talk, lady.
I don't need to talk about your pets for 2.5 minutes and then make a decision on this. I only have 30 seconds here.
How about this? This is a question that I've thought about somewhat. If you could lose 5 IQ points and become much happier, would you do it? I think it's a fascinating question.
I probably would be happier if I lose. If I was just, if I'm just a little less obsessed with what's going on around me. I know I talked to somebody who, you know, a smart guy, who, as he's gotten older, you know what, never turns on the news. Says, you know what?
It doesn't help me.
It's not helping. It's not making me a better person. It's not making me an emotionally satisfied person.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not. This is not the field that I work in. I'm not going to change the world.
Yeah.
What is
it doing for me?
And I'm like, I had a little tear in my eye. Like that makes so much sense. But I could never do it.
I've been thinking so much recently about, like, every day I spend some time looking through my news feed, looking at this, looking at that. And I thought, what if I spent that time reading some poems? Right? Like, what if I spent that time reading Shakespeare, reading the Psalms, reading Ben Franklin? Would my life be, would I understand humanity better or worse?
How about filling your bird feeders and sitting there and watching them eat?
There you go. How about that?
I mean, really.
Yes.
And the worst thing I ever did, and you need to talk me out of this, is start paying attention to Twitter. I never gave
I know.
What a cesspool. But
it sucks you in.
I get nothing out. In the end, I get nothing out of it. But humanity is doomed, except for I don't know who's in charge of all of this, but adorable animal interactions. It's like, oh, well, look, a dog, right? A dog and a cow are best friends.
What if there was a Twitter? What if there was a Twitter that was just that kind of stuff?
I know. Well, I'm sure. Couldn't you? I don't know how Twitter works, but can't you get in there and turn off turn off politics and turn off?
Probably. I don't know.
But anyway, the idea of checking out on. So if my future gal. Was non-political and had checked out on all of this, that would certainly not be a deal breaker.
No, it would absolutely not.
I might find it quite charming.
Absolutely would not be a deal breaker. There were a whole bunch of never have I ever things. In the speed dating. Right. Okay, never have I ever sang a song in the bathroom, drunk dialed someone, been trapped on an elevator.
So a whole bunch of them. You mean you would turn these into questions, like say so?
No, apparently this is the question. Because, the never have I ever thing is like if I say never have I ever, and then you...
Oh, you're supposed to respond to that.
Yeah, so if I say never have I ever sang a song in the bathroom, if you've done it, you have to drink. That's the way it works. Okay? I like this one, though. Flirted my way out of a speeding ticket. Because that would be somewhat telling. If a woman flirted her way out of a speeding ticket, that would tell you something.
But in a plus way, or you're like she's got some people skills, or that she is relying on her feminine cuteness to manipulate her way through life.
Yeah, that would bother me.
Which way would you look at it?
It would bother me a little bit.
Okay.
If she tried to get out of a speeding ticket by flirting her way out of it.
Did you see the one where the gal says, "Oh, I didn't think you gave speeding tickets to pretty girls." He says, "I don't."
I don't. That was such a burn. That was a good one. Yeah. So there are a lot of things you can't get to in 5 minutes. 5 minutes would be, gosh. I mean, all you can do is hope to try to find something that would disqualify a person.
Yeah. I think that's I think that the strategy going in would have to be right. like I said, like the the book and the movie and the religion, politics and the religion. It would have to be just looking for something egregious.
Yeah.
Right. You're not looking for the ideal candidate on any of these things,
right?
Because there's not enough time,
and
there's life's too long. You've got.
I know. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Now I saw. This is only a semi-related question. A deadline. So you find a gal.
Mm-hmm.
You get matched up with a bunch of them. A couple of them get second dates.
Mm-hmm.
You find a gal who you call each other boyfriend and girlfriend.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have a home. You're not living at home. You have a job.
Mm-hmm.
You're over 25.
Right.
The deadline to get married.
Ah.
Would you call it? The response to this from someone was 9 to 12 months. Do you really need more? Do you know enough about a person if you're over 25
yeah.
and you are ready to get married?
That actually would be a great question. Because
you don't need a 4-year dating and a 2-year engagement.
Exactly. If you are capable financially and in other ways of getting married, like you're ready in terms of your life situation.
Right.
Does it really take more than 6 months to figure out if this person is somebody
not really, because I had some long-term relationships while I was living with my parents and going to college and having roommates because I still barely had a job. You know what I mean? So I had relationships that were 1.5 to 2.5 years, that kind of thing. But yes, once you're stable and you're ready, 9 months, 9 to 12 seems like a pretty good number.
So I tried to put together a list of the things that I would look for. So I remember in the very beginning, we talked about 3 categories of women: for a night, for a summer, for a lifetime.
Okay.
Right? So I was trying to think of, like, for a lifetime, what are the kind of things that you're going to look for? And I came down to common values, which might be religion in some cases.
Right.
Your attitude towards children.
Yeah.
Sexual history. And then, is she kind and is she forgiving? To me, if you get all those things aligned, then you're pretty well off.
Well, that leads me to this little Twitter feed thing. Yeah. You really got my attention here because this
Twitter, formerly known as X, or X formerly known as Twitter, or something like that.
And it's actually a snapshot, probably, of a Reddit thing, like "Am I the a-hole" kind of a thing.
Okay.
So she's 25, he's 29, been together for a couple of years, and he received an embarrassing video of her with 3 guys.
Oh my gosh!
In the video.
Yeah.
Well, she stumbles along and apologizes for herself, and I was only 22 at the time. Yeah, that's 3 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
Blah blah blah. He seems like a good guy, and I don't know ultimately what she's asking, but she says, he asked me how many men I've slept with, and I told him the truth, around 80.
Okay.
And so the follow up, a lot of these people are like, so if a girl says 80, she means 160, and you're 25, so let's just go back to 80. So what do you do? 15 new guys a year for the last deal breaker?
Of course, of course, it's a deal breaker.
How do you not know enough to lie? And what are you doing? Bang! So you either have never had a long-term boyfriend and you're just getting a new guy every 3 weeks. Or you did have a boyfriend, and you're also getting a new guy every 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, that's completely a deal breaker. This reminds me.
Well, I got the sad news is, that's his fiance, and she's pregnant.
Oh my gosh!
But I'm talking. What would Pearl Davis say about this?
Yeah, exactly. So recently, Pearl Davis was interviewed by both Andrew Klavan and Michael Knowles, both from the Daily Wire, and I was very disappointed in both Knowles and Klavan in these interviews. Pearl Davis is not as sharp, or doesn't have the vocabulary, doesn't have the intellect of either of those
Yeah.
guys. But I thought they were playing gotcha games with her. And I thought I was not pleased with the way they handled the interviews.
And I mean, she didn't have the snappy comeback, but she
Right.
didn't back down either.
No, she didn't back down, and she had a position which is a respectable position, and I thought she did a decently good job. But the thing is, she's saying like, look, what is a marriageable woman? Like, if she has an OnlyFans account, she's out. And Michael Knowles was like, well, I don't know. Maybe she could,
Really? Michael Knowles was...
Yes. He was like, well, people change. And okay, yeah, fine. If you're talking about the 1 in a million shot, but who's going to sign up for that? Who's going to marry the woman who had an OnlyFans account or who has 80 sexual partners or something like that? You're taking a ridiculous, stupid chance if you do something like that.
Yeah, well, no, all right, but you're exactly right. What I was getting at was, she said so the woman with 80 sexual partners at 25. I thought she was the one that was 29. I'm going, all right, so that's 8 for the last 10 years. Well, no, now it's condensed down to 14 a year for the last 8 years, whatever. So no, what I was getting at was she says that. Paternity tests should be mandatory in all hospitals.
Yes.
And you know what? I like it because a man asking for that is insulting.
Yes.
And he is putting distrust by asking for it. But if it's mandatory, hey, that's just the process. That's just how we do it. It's just normal procedure. You know how it is, honey. If it wasn't normal procedure, I wouldn't be asking for it. Doesn't that make it so much easier on all of the men who have raised children that are not their own and did not want to F up their relationship by suspecting their wives? Yep. And, how about this woman here? Would you want a paternity test for Miss 80 body count?
I wouldn't have anything to do with her. I would be afraid that I would get...
I thought you said... Did you say 8? Because that sounds like a lot.
What? You remember, we just both saw Dune Part 2 recently. And Vladimir Harkonnen is this great big fat guy who has to have these suspensor things in him because he was having sex with a Bene Gesserit woman who infected him with this disease that caused all these things. I'm afraid I'd get that disease from that woman.
Who knows how many diseases are swirling around in there?
Yeah. I wouldn't have anything to do with that.
But the mandatory takes the pressure off the guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I'm not sure how I feel about voluntarily asking for it.
Sure.
The idea that's just hospital procedure. I'm kind of liking it.
And the man then has the opportunity. Okay, it's not my kid. Still, I will decide to raise the kid as my own anyway.
Yes.
But he has the opportunity.
Yes.
To say, okay, I understand.
I've always wanted a son or a daughter,
and I realized that was an indiscretion and fine.
I always knew you were a whore anyway. So what are we going to do here?
At least it gives him the...
to give the guy the proper information to get on with his life.
Well, there's something to be said for that. Okay, so anyway, speed dating, the good news about this is I will never have to do it.
Never have to do it. Even, if Mrs. Pigweed leaves me, and that's probably on the table,
you're still not going to go speed dating.
My option will not be speed dating.
Exactly. I don't think I would do it under any circumstance.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right,
but it was fun to talk about it because it's sort of silly. Okay,
I got a man of the week here.
Yeah, good.
It's funny that I had downloaded this and you sent it to me at the same time. Our man of the week is Planet Fitness patrons.
Yes, not Planet Fitness.
No.
So the backstory is some woman was in Planet Fitness and saw this dude in the female, this guy in the female locker room,
boobs, shaving,
clearly a dude, and she photographed him.
Everything is mainly about him except for his fake boobs.
Yes, he's clearly a man, and it is against the rules, like at my gym, to take pictures of people in the locker room, which is a good rule. Right? You don't want people going around taking pictures. Of course, it's gross.
Yeah.
But she violated that rule.
Yes. And so she was the villain?
But she violated that rule to say, look, there's a man in the bathroom. how else she goes up front and says, "There's a man in the bathroom." They say, "No, there isn't." Right? So no, look, I have evidence.
No other
right
staff
here.
saw this.
Yeah. No, look, I have evidence. Oh, you took a picture in the bathroom? Okay, we're kicking you out. So she becomes the bad guy.
She posts and it goes and Libs Cheyenne, what's her name? Chaya.
Libs of TikTok?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And so Chaya takes on this crusade.
Yeah.
And posts the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows?
Now
that?
people are leaving Planet Fitness.
And they doubled down
Mm-hmm.
and said right. So they said.
Did you see the commercial that they put out? They doubled down. They put out a commercial.
Triple down?
Where this guy is taking a woman, apparently, on a tour of Planet Fitness. And they go to the locker rooms. And they're like, "I'm not sure which one you should go in." So they're basically adopting, yeah, we're all in with this. Whichever locker room you like is fine with us thing.
Well.
They've been Budweisered.
I have been Budweisered. And how, yes, you out of touch
Morons, yeah.
woke ass morons
Yep.
are how many times do you need to get kicked in the nuts?
Yeah.
Even you ladies who think you're men who don't have nuts are getting kicked in the nuts. And so what has the response been in 5 days?
Apparently they've lost $400 million in value. Yeah. I hope they lose $1 billion in value.
I wish I had changed gyms so I could quit and go back.
Exactly. This is the kind of situation, like when the whole Bud Light thing. I wish I drank Bud Light so I could stop drinking it, but I don't drink Bud Light, so I can't stop drinking it. But I don't go to Planet Fitness. But if I did, I would leave.
The massive backlash.
Yes.
And
we need to take.
I mean, that's all we have.
I know. We need to take these woke idiots and tar and feather them. Not literally tar and feather them, but
this is the closest we can get.
This is the closest we can get with what's acceptable in 2024.
All right. So to all our Planet Fit now, everybody in my gym is going to be filled up with a bunch of ex-Planet Fitnesses, but you are welcome, as long as you know which bathroom to go to.
Exactly. Go to the right bathroom, for heaven's sakes.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.